Thomas Glover's role in the founding of the Japan Brewery Company is also very well documented, so I won't linger long on it. He, again, was turned to revamp a small brewery that was already working in the Yokohama Foreign Settlement, and to expand it into a world-class brewery, producing a beer that would make Japan proud in the taverns and pubs of America and England. He turned to a German expert, to brewmaster, to take care of and also collected investments from around Japan from the foreign community, and became the first president of Japan Brewery Company when it was founded in 1885. This is an illustration of the Yokohama plant near the turn of the century. The first label borrowed on the styles popular in Europe at the time, showing an animal, usually in Europe a lion or a horse or an eagle perhaps. The Japanese, probably with Glover's suggestion, turned to the kirin, which is a legendary animal in Japan. But this looked more like a dancing dog, I think, so it didn't make quite the hit that the organizers were hoping for. The label that we know today was later created. The mustache on the kirin is said to have been based on Thomas Glover's very distinctive mustache, but as a historian I can't really emphasize that because I don't have any proof for it. This is a photograph of Thomas Glover with Iwasaki Yanosuke, who is the second generation president of the Mitsubishi Company. Iwasaki led a group of Japanese investors in taking over the company, of course, a friendly takeover, and the company name was changed to the Kirin Beer Company in 1907, and of course continues to this day to be the major brewery in Japan. This is some new information about Thomas Glover. A woman came to my house when I was away and handed my wife a bag full of old documents, and she said she was going to throw them in the garbage, but thought that Brian-san might be able to get some use out of them. And in this bag of documents that were about to be destroyed were these letters from Ernest Sato to Thomas Glover, asking for his cooperation in the visit to Japan of John Point Spencer, the Lord at the time, who had been the Lord of the Admiralty in Great Britain, and after retiring went on a trip around the world with his wife. There is no mention in any sources I've looked through of Thomas Glover's role in this visit. We know that Spencer came to Japan and that he visited the naval dock in Kure, and then visited with Ito Hirobumi and other Japanese statesmen in Tokyo, and set a foundation for the Britain-Japan alliance of 1902 and the cooperation between the two navies. This is known. But the fact that Thomas Glover was involved in this visit would never have been known if that bag full of documents had found its way to the incinerator in Nagasaki. Thomas Glover was asked to show Spencer to the naval dock in Sasebo, which is a port close to Nagasaki. Among the documents was a letter of thanks from Lord Spencer to Thomas Glover, thanking him for joining him that day in the visit to Sasebo, and undoubtedly translating for him and showing him all various things, and thanking also to his daughter for showing Lady Spencer around Nagasaki at the time. The point I would like to make is this. This is a Japanese expression derived from Zen Buddhism. You could call it a samurai maxim. Fugen Jikko, and I've translated it as not saying but doing. Maybe you could put it a different way. Keeping promises instead of just making them. Not tooting one's own horn. putting the satisfaction and benefit of the customer ahead of personal profit. These are all Japanese virtues, I think, and I think we can say that these were also the virtues of Thomas Glover. So here in a nutshell, we have the character of Thomas Glover that appealed so much and that won the esteem of the Japanese of rank at the time. In other words, he was a doer, not a sayer. He would make promises and absolutely follow through on them. And then in the end, he would not, like Sir Ernest Sato has autobiography books about his experiences in Japan, but we have nothing from Thomas Glover. He never told us about his great achievements. He never tooted his own horn. And so here we see why Thomas Glover was so respected in Japan. And also I think we can also say here is entrepreneurship in a nutshell. In other words, putting greater emphasis on the customer, on the satisfaction of the customer, and putting personal gain behind, which may seem in the short run to lead to losses, but as Thomas Glover has shown, in the greater picture of things, it leads to benefits on all sides. Here's Thomas Glover and his wife Tsuru at the wedding ceremony of their daughter Hana in 1897. After that, Thomas Glover was a leader of the foreign community and also a friend and advisor to the Meiji government. Here he is with Admiral Togo Heihachiro, of course, who was famous for his heroism in the Russo-Japanese War. Thomas Glover standing directly behind him, almost symbolizing his very early contributions to the Japanese Navy and to the modernization of Japan. This is Thomas Glover's business card. I don't think anyone living in Tokyo today, perhaps aside from the emperor, could just write Tokyo on their business card and expect a letter to arrive. But here is Thomas Glover's business card. In 1908, exactly 100 years ago, Thomas Glover became the first foreigner, as we know, to receive the Order of the Rising Sun. A symbol, a gesture of gratitude from Japan to all of his contributions over the years. Today he's buried in the Sakamoto International Cemetery in Nagasaki, his Japanese hometown. In closing, I would just like to introduce this article from the Nagasaki newspapers. This was printed when Thomas Glover was still alive in 1903. And it was a response to an article in the newspaper about the lighthouses in Japan. Just yesterday I visited the Lighthouse Museum in Fraserburgh, so this article now has a very special significance for him. But he says that it was Thomas Glover who, although unknown to everyone, it was Thomas Glover who brought the first lighthouse, and again built the first lighthouse, introduced the experts who ran it. And then he says, and I'd like to emphasize this, Japan since then has made rapid strides, indeed jumps, not only in lighthouse building, but in everything else. And I'm quite sure that when the true history of this country is written, Mr. Glover will, or ought to be, credited with no small share in Japan's present position in the world. Apologizing for troubling you, I am, etc. A resident. Even the resident didn't remain anonymous. So Thomas Glover made tremendous contributions to Japan, but never tried to show off or to become famous because of it. He was an entrepreneur, I think, of the true and most noble kind. I would like to conclude by extending my heartfelt thanks once again to the organizers and to you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. And by expressing my hope that the next 100